solving quads by completing the square. And today's first exciting problem looks a touch like this. After all is said and done, you will ooh and ah amazing. X squared plus 4x minus 5 equals 0. Who remembers the first thing we're supposed to do? Charles.
Oh, you side. Oh, we have the side to the other side.
Well, Charlie. Nice work.
Wait, is that minus 5?
It is. So I add 5 over here. And I add 5 over here. So now my new equation is this. X squared plus 4x, leave an empty space, equals 5. If you didn't catch that, we just move the 5 from one side to the other. Now here's where life gets a little dicey.
Life is always nice and math for me, Miss Brown.
It is, especially in this one here. Mislead them.
Can I ask you a huge favor, if you have time today?
Sure.
In any of your downtime, which I know you have very little of, I need some images of the White House printed and I can't make it happen. I'm not good enough for that. I'm doing a display for Mrs. Lutz's bulletin board.
Do we have a size on that?
It's, if you go look at it, it's to the far right, you'll see I'm off center. and I
We're
don't
talking
touch
like a
it,
piece of
so-
paper, 8.5 by 11 size?
Yeah, if
A
you need
whole-
just a couple images of it,
Do you
like
want
a single image on
do
each
you want real life or cartoon?
real life.
Or the
If you
actual
could
like
do
a-
one on like Civil War era and one contemporary, that would be perfect.
It's not the same Civil War?
No, Civil War,
was
they
burned
added
down?
on after the Civil
Oh, they did?
War.
Civil Era War, okay.
Yeah. You mind? Thank you.
I look forward to the challenge. Alright, here's where things get interesting. How do I do it from here? What do I do? Caroline,
Find half of the number in front of x.
1/2 of, we call that the coefficient of x. Let's use math words now. I'm just saying because that's what those things are here. Half of the coefficient of x is 2. Then we square it, right? And add to both sides.
Oh.
What was all that about? Half of 4 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So now I end up with x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 9. And then
You have to subtract 4.
negative. I
Just kidding.
take the
You make
square root of both sides.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think about this like this. This actually ends up being x plus 2 times x plus 2. That's what gives you this. This still stays 9. And then I take the square root of both sides. Square root, which means you do this. Womp, womp. Square root means what times what gives you this, Kyle? If I have the square root of x plus 2 times x plus 2, what is the square root of x plus 2? Very good. Now, the beauty over here, remember, the thing to remember is that this has to be plus or minus. The square root of 9 is plus or minus 3. In this case, it happened to work out nicely. Isn't that something special?
Yeah.
Love it.
So my two answers are, to figure out what x is, I have to subtract this 2 over there. So one of them is going to be, where can I write it? One of them is going to be x, well, let's do it. One equation looks like this, x plus 2 equals a positive 3, which I subtract 2, so x equals 1. The other one is x plus 2 equals a negative 3, in which case I subtract 2 and I subtract 2, and x equals negative 5. So my two answers are negative 5, positive 1.
Wait.
What?
Wait, hang on. I have a question.
What do you say?
Is this just review our Wait, so the answers?
Kendall caught on. This is review from yesterday.
Well, I mean,
Taylor?
Oh, this is for you?
Is it 1 and -5? That's the answer, 1 and -5.
Oh, more than.
Taylor, your question.
I can't see.
So you've got x plus 2 and then x plus 2, is it just because square root of 4 is,
It's because if you factor this into two binomials, it's x plus 2 times x plus 3.
what is,
Reverse FOILs. What times what gives you x squared?
Yeah, how do you guys square root of that?
well, I just wanna know, so it's because.
Your whole goal, Taylor and Kendall, when you divided this by 2 and squared it, was to get it to look like this.
I understand that.
It's just dividing it by 2. Cause
Divide by 2 and square it means you get a perfect, what we call a perfect square trinomial, which means it factors down to two identical binomials.
because they're both 4s.
Right, because half of 4, 2 times 2 is 4, add together is that. It's a perfect square trinomial. Our goal is to make a perfect square trinomial so that when I take the square root of it, I get the square root sign to go away and I'm left with just that one binomial. See, Kyle, if you focus up here, your chances of understanding this increase dramatically. There is an empty chair if you want to sit right at the table right now. Just for right now, I'm not in trouble, just asking if I don't need to focus more. Now, here is the ooh and ah moment, children.
Ooh. Ah.
Amazingly.
Look at the trinomial that we started with. We only use factoring the square. We only do this when we have a trinomial that doesn't work out nicely. But I gave you one that actually did. We went the long way and did the completing the square. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is a nice factorable trinomial. In other words, I didn't have to do this. I wanted to do it just so that you could see how to do it, completing the square. But you can factor this one out. This one factors nicely into what? What times what gives you a -5 and together.
Oh, negative.
It gives a +5 and a -1.
-1 and 5. Why do we do that?
And that equals 0. We did this before. When will this be 0? When x is?
-5.
When will this be 0?
1.
We could have just done that.
Yes, you could have, but I wanted to take you down the road of doing this
Wait,
because
so
they
how do
don't
you
all
know
work
when
that
you
way.
can do that?
Why don't we just do that?
With it
Well,
works out.
You look at this and you go, I can't factor that. Then you have to do completing the square. You
Okay,
look
so
at
we
this
didn't
and go-
just learn that whole long thing for nothing, we actually have to do it if it doesn't work out.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
I thought he meant like.
Given the
That
choice.
was like, you would go for all of them. I was like, yes.
given the choice, you would prefer to do this because it's much quicker and simpler, but it doesn't always work that way, and then you have to do it completely the square way. I won't tell you then the next thing we'll talk about, because really destroyed all your hope.
I'm confused.
No.
We shouldn't do it.
Have fun
For all you people who are taking like honors geometry and freshman year.
This isn't even geometry.
No, but I mean, like,
It's like freak out.
This is as hard as anything is on there. Go ahead, do this. I'll give you a chance to do this.
I'll go ahead and do this.
Okay.
Alright.
Wait, this is the same thing
Just
where you were
give us
doing
like
before.
5 minutes.
Cause you said we're not even gonna tell us about the
Oh,
next.
wait a minute.
Huh, it works out.
Is it a perfect one? Did I do
No,
it? I did try
it
this.
No.
Well, I'm not gonna change, if you're not gonna do completing the square, I'm gonna change it.
That's wait. How can you do that perfectly?
What times what gives you -6 when added together gives you 12?
Nothing.
I don't know, Ashley said it worked out. I was just going by what she
Actually.
Really?
Oh,
Geez.
Go.
just kidding.
But you would not sing cast the first one.
I thought I was really like out of it or something.
I just thought 12 and 6 and
Well, you did a lot of-
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Carry on, Gabe, carry on, let's go.
I think I have it.
Okay,
I think I have it.
Done, really?
No.
Second. You'll have to report back when you go to school in Texas. If you're behind it, man, because Texas is known as one of those great academic states.
Good luck with that.
It is, it's it's supposed to be the,
They're all nationally ranked high schools, so.
so if you're a little behind, I'll take it a little personally, I don't care. They don't, I don't know, do they do Common Core?
I don't know.
Anybody ask?
I think they do, but I don't know.
That's just usually does stuff on the That's not really
Did I do
helpful.
that wrong?
They do something down there. I don't know.
Okay,
Wait, what's the square root of 42?
Sure.
Way to go, everyone, way to go.
Okay,
Oh, I forgot to add. Dang it.
somebody wanna share their answer before we force
Wait,
it?
Wait, there is no square root of 6, is there?
Oh, hold on, we gotta change something.
There is no square root of 42. If you get the square root of 42, you have to leave it as a plus or minus the square root.
Isn't it
I
70?
might know.
Sometimes 6 percent is breaking it, it's back. Yeah. You kind of hope that it ends up being a goofy square root, because then you don't have to worry about it. Really, what do you think? Still trying to internalize this?
Yay. So we go through this one. Wait, Sam, what did you do?
X equals negative 6 plus the root of 6.
Oh, I have it.
Did you just hear that?
I did.
I got x equals the
Didn't
square root of
sound quite like
6.
that.
Well, I had to change it.
You're gonna get two answers, so x equals the square root of 6 is not even a spot.
Oh, and that's square root of 6. X equals negative 6.
Alright,
That's not the
X
answer.
equals negative 6.
Gabe, what do you have?
X equals negative 6 plus 142.
Yes! Dang it! Oh, I got it. I got it.
I don't know if it's right, but take a look up here, please.
That's right, Jack.
36.
First step is you wanna get this constant over to the other side, so you add 6. So you end up with x squared plus 12x equals 6. Here's where you take half of the coefficient in front of the x, which is 6, and square it. 6 times 6 is 36. That's what you add to both sides. I add 36 to both sides. So
I
now,
just didn't add it to
x
the
squared
bottom.
plus
I just added it to the one.
12x plus 36 equals 42. You just made this a nice perfect square trinomial, which is x plus 6 times x plus 6. And now you take the square root of both sides. Square root of this is x plus 6. This equals plus or minus the square root of 42. You see if you can factor that out, but you can't. That's as much as it goes down. So your two answers are, you subtract the 6 over, that's where the negative 6 comes from. X equals a minus 6, one time plus the square root of 42, and x equals negative 6, one time minus the square root of 42.
Wait, so why did you put a plus or a minus after the minus 6, so it's plus 6?
I don't know what you're talking about. Here?
Wait, are they both minus 6?
Where? I needed to subtract this 6 to get it to the other side, so it becomes a minus 6.
For both?
For both of them. Both times I gotta subtract 6.
So what's the answer?
That's just.
Again, if you're looking for real world numbers, you would think that the square root of 42 is close to 6, between 6 and 7. So your answer is going to be close to 0 and negative 13 or something like that. If you're looking for real world consumable answers there, I can tell we're just about ready to jump off.
So how do we put it into a square?
That's a good one.
Just like this.
What?
I just put it into a square.
I thought he was drawing a diving board too.
What's that?
Like,
You said at the beginning,
Oh,
so what?
like so we're just about
When we did this, Kendall,
proverbial diving board.
this is called completing, because I made it into a square.
And I thought it was a, that was supposed to be